And I think this word tunnel is really reminiscent of what it was actually like to be in the trenches. So it's Owen trying to link the environment that he's actually in with the environment that he's trying to create in this dreamlike world that he's entering into. Let's move on to the next stanza. Yet also there encumbered sleepers groaned. And I want us to first look at this idea of encumbered sleepers. And it's these people he has come across. When we're encumbered, we are weighed down, okay? We are burdened with something. And the word sleepers really indicates that they are not truly alive. So the people he has come across. Too fast in thought or death to be bestirred. And this line is really saying he's having trouble getting their attention because they are either already dead or they are lost in thought. Okay? So, already dead or lost in thought. And it creates this kind of nightmarish mood. It's not a particularly pleasant atmosphere for Owen to be in. Then as I probed them, one sprang up and stared. And when we talk about this idea of probed, it's a very invasive word. And it indicates that he's actually having to force his way into getting them to recognize his presence because they are so concerned with what's going on in their heads, with piteous recognition in fixed eyes. And this idea of fixed eyes, it's very unsettling. It's not something we particularly want to encounter. Someone staring at us and their eyes unmoving, okay? And piteous recognition just means that the person who's looking at him recognizes who he is, recognizes him as a person, and pities him, actually feels sorry for him. Lifting distressful hands as if to bless. So he is distressed, he's burdened, as if to bless. And let's start to think about some of the techniques in this. So it's a simile, isn't it? And if we're talking about this simile, it juxtaposes religion to the stress and the burden that this person is showing when he's lifting his hands. It's a kind act, so clearly the recognition that he feels when he sees this person entering into the nightmarish domain is a pleasant one. He is blessing him, he's welcoming him. And by his smile I knew that sullen hall. By his dead smile I knew we stood in hell. And when we look at this idea of him smiling, he's obviously happy to see him. And I knew that sullen hall. I knew this really sad and melancholy place that I'm standing in. And we know that because of the diction of sullen. Okay? It's sad, it is somber, it is not somewhere he particularly wants to be. And by his dead smile, it's It's a very oxymoronic term. It's all humanity and positivity has actually been drained from this smile. He no longer has the sense of life that a smile is normally associated with. I knew we stood in hell. And I think that we need to question whether or not Owen is saying this metaphorically or not. Okay? Is he actually talking about a physical trip into hell where he's seeing these things? Or is he trying to make a metaphor of what it's like to be involved in a battle where we're talking about the trenches as being the profound dull tunnel, and then he is encountering these people who are dead or lost in thought and comparing that to hell. Alright, so we're going to highlight this and just leave a little note for ourselves about whether this is a metaphor or not. And you can choose to elaborate on that more if you feel like you're not going to remember that, and just rewind and listen over to what I've said there and think about what you can write so that it will trigger your memory about this idea that we can interpret these first couple of stanzas in a few different ways. Okay, so I'm going to leave this up here for a little bit, and then I'm going to wipe everything off that I have on my screen at the moment because it's just getting a bit too busy. And then I'm going to scroll down and start working on the next stanza. So if you do want to make notes of what I've got written here, feel free to do that. Feel free to pause and do that. If you need to go back and listen again and want to make your own notes based on some of the things that I'm saying that I haven't written down, then you should do